Alright, this book review is for the book called For What It's Worth by Les Goldman. He was the dad from the reality TV show Hardcore Pond. Where do I begin? Um, so the book starts off. I really like the format because like he'll make it to where like he has like these bullet points where like you could draw lessons from that chapter on just like salesmanship and just being professional and stuff. He really did come from like this bygone era. Like you'd be surprised how much customer service has really changed like in the last 10, 20 years to be honest. And I mean his work ethic speaks for itself. I mean, don't really like take that reality show so seriously, but by that I mean the stuff that's obviously scripted. Um, Les Gold, basically, this is how he got into the business himself. Both of his grandparents from, like, both of his grandpas from both his mom and his dad's side, they had eventually started a pawn shop. But the way they really started off was Les Gold's grandpa would, like, just go randomly just finding stuff that got thrown away, and he would refurbish it. Kind of like Sanford and Son, like one of those type of stores. And I see those stores, and they've been in business for many years. I see a few, like, I could think of a few just like driving down the street and stuff. And they're so successful at it that it just kept growing and growing. And now, after about 6 different decades, Les Goldman owns 6 of the biggest pawn shops in Detroit, Michigan. His work ethic speaks for itself. I can honestly say, being in customer service, I can relate to the show Hardcore Pawn because you got about 4 types of customers altogether. Karens, like no one, you could get through a Karen. You just have to know, like, ultimately, like, just to read between the lines with her. You got another type of customer. They're really professional. They're really polite, really courteous, like common courtesy. They know what they're there to get. They get it, and smooth transaction now. And then the customers I would see in Hardcore Pawn, the customers I would see in real life, like when I was in customer service, these are the worst kinds. You got the spoiled brat, and by that I mean like they want you to deal with them under their terms. They basically came to start a fight with you, but like they want you to just like give them what they want, however they want them. Like they want you to just roll out the red carpet and play favorites and do all this nonsense, and they don't work like that. And then they start like acting all obnoxious and rude, and it's not good, man. I don't even deal with people like that no more. Then another type of customer is like, I would see this on Hardcore Pawn, like they're just like, well, I already dealt with you and you don't remember me, but just take my word for it. I don't have a receipt, but you should just do whatever I tell you to do. And I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Everything I do is on a computer. And it was ridiculous. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. I don't like listening to sob stories, especially like in customer service. Everybody always has some sob story about why they're in the predicament they're in. Me, like I've seen it when somebody gets out of jail for some reason, like Texas state law. In Texas state law, when you get out of jail, they took away your ID and your social security card, and that's just wrong. I mean, I think it's even against the law. You'd see these guys, they come like in a backpack. They have a backpack, their whole life is in their backpack. It's nothing but weird paperwork and just maybe a change of clothes, and that's just how they live. I feel bad for them, but it's like they made their choices. And I see that a lot in Hardcore Pawn. Everybody comes up with this weird sob story, and it's disgusting, man. Um, you would just see like a bunch of ghetto stuff happening. Like to me, I remember one time I had a line of people and I'm trying to give out this. I used to give out the free government phone. That's what I used to do. And randomly one time, this mom and this daughter pull up in just some red car, and they're both fully grown. You know, they're both adults. The daughter must have been at least 18, 19, maybe 20, and the mom was like early 40s. And first, one of them drops like a gram of meth, like wrapped up in plastic, and then they found it again. Then I guess when the other one wasn't looking, one of them snorted it, and both of them got into this big shoving fight in front of everybody, just distracting everybody. And I was just playing it cool because I really didn't care. It wasn't my problem. And then they just start slamming the car doors. The daughter walks away and all angry in one direction. The mom drives away in the opposite direction. The trash took itself out. And like, I could see why Les Goldman didn't really like that show, because like it's like he built his reputation from the ground up, you know what I mean? And that place is not a place for you to like bring trouble to. You know, it's not good. And I really love the book. It plays out like a seminar kind of, but he's really genius. He's like scary smart. He knows like how to read people. You could tell he really is a good salesman, like especially if you had to like sell like something really expensive like jewelry or like a fur coat or something. I really love pawn shops. When I was like about mid-teens or so, before I learned how to drive, I was always walking to the pawn shops. Like I had a few pawn shops down the street from me, and I would go and I would get a good deal on DVDs, because like I liked I like B movies, like I like B horror movies, and I like those 1970s kung fu, wire fu movies where it's like dubbed over in English. I like those too, and I would buy a lot of them from the pawn shop on sale, and you never know what you're going to find in there either. I think the coolest thing I ever saw at a pawn shop was a saddle, like an actual literal like horse saddle, and that thing looked impressive. I'm not gonna lie, it was really cool looking. And let's see here. But yeah, I recommend reading Lester. I mean, his name's Les Gold. I keep on calling him Lester. His real name is Leslie. But just like with any other reality TV show, especially one that has educational value, don't just think it's all real and legit. In the book, he does talk about this one segment that happened that there was these burglars that I guess they must have been really like lying in wait, and they cut a big hole in the roof and the ceiling, and they stole whatever they could in a span of about less than like a minute, like 45 seconds or so. They spent 3 hours carving that big hole in the roof and the ceiling, and they showed footage of it on Hardcore Pawn. And I would say my favorite thing about Hardcore Pawn was all the jewelry stuff. Like they had a guy that could like melt the gold down and stuff. Like that was really neat. But yeah, I love pawn shops. Like, okay, so go out and get that book For What It's Worth by Les Gold. Don't forget to hit like, comment something, and subscribe. Thank you.